What is going on, you guys? Zach here from PremiumBeat.com. Today, we're going to be talking about handheld shots and how to get the most out of those handheld shots, no matter what shoot you're on, no matter what you have available. And I know what you're thinking, you're like, oh, but I can't do handheld shots. They're not, I need a dolly, I need a slider, I need a gimbal. You don't need anything. All you need is your camera, 2 arms, or 1 arm, and possibly a body, and you're able to get some really great shots. If you guys are like me, you've been in the position where you have this ambitious idea for a shot, but all you have is just you and your camera. Well, how are you able to get the most out of that without having any gear like jibs, sliders, dollies, or gimbals? Well, you're actually able to achieve quite a bit with just you and your camera. And today I'm going to be talking about how you can get the most out of your handheld shots, how to do them properly, and how to emulate those favorite shots that you have when you're out in the middle of nowhere and all you have is just you and your camera. So without further ado, let's get into this tutorial. Boom, let's do it. Before we go into my tips and tricks, the first thing you gotta know is how to shoot handheld stuff properly. Now there's a couple things to do before you go into it so that none of your footage looks super duper shaky. So the first tip is whenever you're shooting your handheld shots, don't put in a lot of motion. There's gonna be a lot of motion already applied to it. So let's say you're shooting an action scene and you're trying to capture all that movement, so you're shaking the camera around, you really wanna get that handheld look. Don't do it. You're going to automatically get camera shake no matter how much you try to avoid it. Even if you have the most stable body on the planet, you're still gonna get a handheld shot. And maybe you don't notice it when you're looking at like a tiny little monitor, but when it's blown up onto a 50-foot screen, everybody's gonna see every little tiny shake that the camera had applied to it. So just because you're not seeing it on set doesn't mean you're not gonna see it in the bigger picture. Now the other thing to also keep in mind is let's say you do want to apply a bit of camera shake to your footage. Try and use the core center of your body as opposed to your hands. So instead of trying to create that shake in like your hands and like up in this area, try and create it down here. So if you do want to add some motion, do it in, just do like a little dance move. You see that? Take some tips here, bring out your notepad. This is some good stuff right here. Essentially why you wanna do that is because naturally our heads don't bob around like that. So why would you make the camera shake? If there's any sort of movement that happens into our frame, it's probably because our bodies are moving around. Unless you have like a broken neck, you're not gonna be getting like that crazy jitter. And that's why it seems kind of weird when you see that in a film. And that leads me into my second point. No matter what you're filming, try and keep the camera in the core center of your body if you're doing handheld movement, or have some sort of like shoulder rig. But if you don't have a shoulder rig and it's just you and your camera, basically what I do pretty much like 90% of the times, I shoot all of my handheld stuff like this. So have the camera up here or down here. Essentially what's happening there is my arms here, if you see my biceps, basically your arms are kind of taking away that shake and jitter so the footage doesn't look really shaky when you go into blowing it up to a bigger size. So the first handheld shot that I'm gonna talk about is the slow rotation shot. It's like slowly rotating the camera to create like this weird rotating world. Now this is a shot that you actually can't get unless you have like high-end camera gear. So this is something you can impress all of your friends with, and you have just using your arms and your camera. Throw like a warp stabilizer on that and boom, look at that, super sweet, right? Second handheld shot that's like one of my favorites is literally just like the slow moving forward. Putting my left foot forward, right foot back a bit, and then slowly moving forward slightly to create like a slider or dolly in. Really simple, not a crazy movement, but again, I'm keeping that upper body very stable for that, and I'm able to get some really, really buttery, awesome footage. Third shot that's like one of my favorites is kind of similar to that push forward. It's actually now my slow move over. So basically, keeping my camera in that core center of my body and then slowly shifting from left to right or right to left to create like a parallax effect. So essentially I'll move my body like this and then I'll rotate my camera, keeping my subject in center frame, and then this is kind of the effect that you'll achieve. I have a link in the description below on how to improve your shots a little bit better, how blocking, lighting, and depth of field can really apply to it well. But this is essentially just how movement and what you can do with your handheld movement to take it to the next level. Number fourth shot is the walk-in shot. Wow! Basically what you want to do with the walk-in, wow, is slowly walk forward with your camera. Now again, trying to keep it as still as possible, so kind of make like a guide mark on your frame, keeping like someone's head completely still, and then slowly moving it in. And essentially what you're going to be doing is, this isn't emulating like a dolly movement, it's just creating like a slow handheld push in. And you can get some really cool stuff. Anytime you want to like catch like a cool moment, maybe build the suspense, this is a great way to do it. And then to cap all of this stuff off, maybe these shots do look like they're a little too jittery, there's a little bit too much movement to it. You can actually take these and make them look like your favorite slider, dolly, or crane shots by applying like a warp stabilizer to it. Warp stabilizer is incredible, and like with the latest updates with Premiere, it's actually even better than ever. So apply a warp stabilizer to your shots and you can take them from this to this. So you can see that it actually looks like a gimbal shot here. Basically, the whole purpose of this episode is to show you guys that you don't need big, crazy, fancy gear to get really great coverage. And some of my favorite shots have come from just like pure handheld stuff. And you don't actually have to resort for it to look like handheld either. You can get some nice slider, dolly, and crane shots from just moving your camera really still. And that is it, you guys. If you like this tutorial and want to take a look at some more, recommend taking a look at that YouTube page. Give us a subscribe if you want to support us. I mean, if you want to keep doing this whole like looking at each other, hanging out sort of session thing, I'd love to hang out with you a little bit more. So take a look at the rest of our videos. Give us a like, comment if you have any questions or concerns. I'd love to read that. And yeah, keep making great stuff. Hopefully this tutorial helped you out. Hopefully this tutorial helped you guys out. And I'm gonna go.